What's going on, everybody? Matt Malatesta here. My man is in blue and gold. Woo! Coach Nick Codutti comes over from Fulshear High School to Klein High, one of the all-time iconic brands in the city of Houston. Decades ago now, Coach Codutti's getting ready to turn this bad boy up for the Bearcats. I'm a Klein Force guy, so I'm happy for Klein IC. All right, Coach. Excited. It's a big move, and for Klein, it's a big hire. What went into, hey, this would be the right job for me?
Man, Matt, I'll be honest with you. It's one of those situations like you go into this dynamic of, you get into a place for 4 years in Fulshear, and we really did turn things around there, and we saw a lot of success. And so before I was at Fulshear, I was in Tomball, north side of Houston, and my family decided that's kind of where they felt like, my daughters really love the people in Tomball. That's where their friends are at. And so the north side of Houston always kind of called me. And I always thought Klein was a great place, And so when the call came and the conversation started happening, I got to meet with them, and it felt like a family, like there was banter in the interview room. It was a conversation with the principal who was really down to earth, and I really enjoyed her, and it just felt good. And I know that, Shane Hallmark did a great job for the past 16 years or how long he's been there. And that's a team that I feel like, man, they're on the verge of something great. That you just look at Klein, you're like, man, they got some kids. The best stadium is in your backyard. It's a district where everybody just seems to want to stay and be a part of. And so we got it. So I said, you know what? I think it's time for a move. I think it's time for the change. I enjoy this stuff. I enjoy the newness. And man, I really enjoy trying to build something with our brand, and that's exciting.
The Nick Codutti brand is a brand in itself, dude. So Fulshear was nothing. It was zero. And then you did have the luxury of it being a new area of town, and you had kind of the right demo that was in there. But if you don't have the right culture, it could be the greatest spot in the city, but you can't win there. And y'all won big. And it was so weird as y'all went from 4A to 5A to 6A, always winning.
Yeah.
Just talk about, how do you define your culture as the Nick Codutti culture?
And so really, everyone kind of heard about the dirty F, right? That was like the thing.
Yeah.
But really, what it boiled down to was, it was kind of what they needed. It was the idea of finding an image of who they are and what they belong to. So when we got into Fulshear, we started finding, they needed an identity. They needed to find the reasons why. They needed to be different. Foster had seen so much success, and Sean McDowell had killed it over there. And so when they split Foster, that's what created Fulshear. And so there was a whole dynamic of, we were the other side of town. We were the other side. We were the other F, right? And so that's where that kind of spiraled into. And a lot of the kids just kind of found it as a rallying cry. And at the end of the day, I was willing to just run with it. If that's what the kids wanted to fight behind, I was like, you know what, hey, let's do this. And so we kind of started this crazy brand. But the other thing I've realized is, through my years, I was a head coach early on when I was probably 27 in Missouri. And, I kind of did things the way that everybody else wanted to do them, like the status quo. And it really came back to bite me, because I think at the end of the day, if you're going to do it your way. And so when I got the job, Nikki Nelson was the athletic director and Devin Gabbert was there. And, they were willing to understand, like, we want you to do it your way. But as long as you are good to the kids and do things the right way, we're willing to back you up as long as you're doing it right. And so for us, it boiled down to, who are we? Why do we do what we do? And how do we get these kids to buy into us? So for me, it was, hey, I'm going to hire coaches that are going to buy into me. And then I'm going to get those coaches to get the kids to buy into them. And then those kids are going to get the community to buy into them. It was a business plan. And I thought, man, to be honest with you, it was fun. And so, like, again, we didn't punt. We barely kicked off. We never kicked PATs. And trust me, I heard it from the stands every day. Kick them off. But in reality, we were 72% conversion rate on it. So this season, we were actually, my special teams coordinator having a conversation the other day. We were 33% kind of successful rate on onside kicks this year. So one of every 3 we kicked, we recovered.
That is wild.
I know, right? And
yeah.
So, like, why would you not? Oh, so you don't get it a couple times? It is what it is. So for us, it was fun. It was exciting. And it made those kids have an identity of who they were going to be. And so coming into Klein, we got to figure out who we are. What are we going to be? What are we going to do? What do these kids need? What does the community need? That's what I want to find.
Dude, that's a great way to put it. What I did find about Fulshear too is they were tough. It was a tough physical team because, the type of offense y'all ran, and on defense, y'all were just bludgeoning people with physicality.
Right.
And now this high school game is not like that. So it's kind of a little old school, but does that travel to Klein as well?
You think about that. So when I was in Missouri, we were 5 wide. So my last year in Missouri, I think we led the nation in passing, believe it or not. And so when I came to Beaumont, Westbrook, we were still kind of a spread team. And as I came to Tomball, we started moving some personnel. But what I found was the majority of teams in Texas were spread. They were 20 personnel, RPO. It's a 7-on-7 world we're living in right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it was, we may not have the athletes to keep up with the North Shores, the Atascocitas, the Ridge Points, who have done a great job. So we had to find our advantage. And I felt like our advantage was, let's bring everybody in the box. Let's punch some people in the mouth and see if they like getting punched for 4 quarters straight. And it worked out well for us, And so when you go to Klein, it's like, okay, we have some skilled kids. You've got some athletes. They can throw the ball a little bit. So we're going to have to change and maneuver to the kids we have, but still keep an identity of what we're looking for, man.
I tell you what, man, it was so fun to watch, especially you got some characters on that team, and they kind of take after you.
Oh.
You had the dude with the freaking long hair, rugby player, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy's made for Fulshear football. And then, y'all have a tremendous season this year, and of course, you're kind of playing some of the blue bloods in the world of Atascocita and North Shore and things like that deep in the playoffs. Why was it time? Did you do what you could do at Fulshear? Or did you feel like, hey, there's still some left on the bone? Or was it just a timing thing with Klein?
I think, I'll be honest with you, Fulshear's going to be successful. I think we lost like maybe 5 games in the entire program last year. And that was 5 football teams. And so, the success is going to happen because the kids are bought in, the system's in place, and that they really believe in it, right? So for me, it wasn't about, could we get more? Yeah, probably. At the end of the day, you can go beat more. But, it's 6A Division I, it's hard.
It is.
I mean, Lord have mercy, it's hard. And so week in, week out, you got to compete. But for me, it was more of a, I enjoy that challenge, but I also enjoy the building. That's my thing. I really think that's fun. And to be back on the north side of Houston, I know my daughters are so happy, and I know a lot of these guys, Coach Handel at Tomball's, one of my good friends, and I've Coach Carpenter at Klein Oak, and I've been friends forever. And so it's like coming back home, right? This was coming back home for me, and I'm excited. It was hard to leave Fulshear, man. Those kids, like you said, they were a part of me. Like it was, they were a mirror image of who I was, and and so when those kids graduated, it was, they were done. It was like, man, that's the first class that we had 4 years, and so to watch what they did as freshmen all the way up, it was really kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It was really it was exhilarating to watch those kids.
And it's emotional also because, look, man, I am a 100% believer of this. High school coaches, could be guys, girls, volleyball, whatever, can affect people so greatly. They're always going to remember their high school coach.
Oh, yeah.
And I think coaches kind of are aware of that, but not until you have guys that you're invited to their weddings and they're like, Coach, please come. That's what is so awesome about high school coaching is that you're making a massive difference. Right. So what is your message? What is the life lesson you're pushing onto kids at the high school level?
For me, so our whole program and everything we do is based on 3 things. It's character, connection, and competency. And that's how you hire coaches. That's how you live our lives. That's how we teach our kids. It's about being a good person, right? And character defined without getting into Webster, it's, who are you when people aren't looking? And so what people perceive of you isn't who you are. It's what you are when you look in the mirror. And so that's how we tell our people. So, when I was at Fulshear, it was, we were kind of played the villain. We played the villain. That was kind of our role.
That's right.
And so we used to tell our kids, and we'd watch Batman and be like, I know you were rooting for Bane, right? Everyone's rooting for Bane. And so But the reality was, just because you're somebody's villain in their story doesn't mean that you have to be a villain all the time. So the conversation was, who's your hero? Oh, it's my dad. Oh man, that's great. Tell me about your dad. Tell me why he was your hero. And he tells these stories about how this man was, treated him and taught him lessons in life. And I said, now tell me, did somebody hate your dad at one point? Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he's the hero in your story and the villain in somebody else's. I said, you don't always have to be everybody's hero. You don't always have to be the villain.
Wow.
But it's about looking in the mirror and knowing you're doing the right thing to the people that you love and you care for. And so that was our number one thing. And the next thing is, it's about connecting, right? It's about building relationships with people, with each other, with your coaches with your kids. It's a triangle effect of understanding we've got to be able to make these connections and be able to relate to people, because at the end of the day, if you can't connect to the people around you, you're not going to be successful. And the last thing we talk about is competency, right? It's about knowing your craft, knowing what you're doing. Those can all be taught.
Yeah.
I can't teach you to be a great person. I can help you, right? I can't teach you all these things. I can teach you the game. I can teach you how to do your taxes. I can teach you how to change a tire, But the reality of it is, who are you as a person when you look in the mirror?
Damn, that's heavy, dude. That's awesome.
I know, you like that? Yeah.
Nice. Well done. Well done. All right. Take me on the journey. The journey of you as a kid.
Oh.
Were you and you played in college,
Mm-hmm.
you dipped the toe in the pro ranks.
Right.
Just how would you have evaluated yourself as a player?
I probably would have hated me in high school, not gonna lie. I worked really hard, but I was really hard-headed. I actually, as a freshman, was not very good. Let's just say that the water boy was probably a good calling for me as a freshman. And then as I went on, I became I became pretty successful in high school and in college. I was an All-American, right? And I think as I got older into college, I started building those connections with coaches, and they started to be able to motivate me as a person. And that's really what got me where I am.
Mm-hmm.
I have an engineering degree. Like, I never thought I'd coach. I never thought I'd be a teacher, And so as I got into those relationships with those coaches who started to really help me in those times in your life when you really need that help,
Yeah.
And I realized, man, this is what I want to do, right? This is what I want to do. And when I went to the pros, I started realizing this is a business. This isn't about family. It's not about fun. It's a business. And I figured out very quickly that you've got to be able to be intrinsically motivated. And if you're not, you're going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I had to learn in that moment, like, nobody's really going to do this for me. I'm going to have to do this myself. And I think that's what created that extreme hard work that I probably have that's kind of gotten me where I am. And the ability for me to build those relationships I learned in college. That's what kind of got me where I could build relationships with people to get where I need to be.
All-time favorite movie?
Oh.
We getting to the real one.
I ask this question to everybody, and they always have a good answer. I don't have one. Okay, I'll give you one. All right. Favorite comedy, no lie, Wedding Crashers.
Love it.
Love it.
Obsessed.
Favorite serious movie, Shawshank Redemption. I mean, Andy Dufresne crawled through 400 yards of human feces, right? How can you go wrong, man? That was a good
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Why? Because it's so funny. Like, I'll talk with the Woodlands, Jim Rapp, and I'm like, because nobody really knows these coaches, like what they're
like a person, right?
Right. And Jim's like, I'm like, what do you do that's outside the box? He goes, dude, I love heavy metal. I go to Pantera concerts. I'm like,
that's freaking
that
awesome.
is, I am blown.
Jim and I are now friends.
Exactly.
I like
boom. What would be your historical hype song, like your walkout song?
My walkout?
Like the smoke's like, and you're coming through.
Are you ready for this?
Yes.
You'll never guess. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
It was my walkout sign in Arena Ball. It's Darth Vader's Imperial Death March.
Oh,
like that one, right?
That's good.
That's the walkout song. I mean, think about it with the cello and the French horn. Oh, it's just obviously
it's dark and then it's darker,
and you know what's coming.
Oh Lord, I like that. So hey, man, I was just watching the show about, and you said about arena football, and they had this thing about oh gosh, he got in the Hall of Fame, quarterback
Kurt Warner.
Unbelievable story of just the grit, and just some people are just it's like they're not going to lose, and you can't deter them from what their ultimate goal is as much as it's like that's never going to happen, and that happens. What was the arena league like? I mean, it seems like it would be like the G League for basketball, but man, it's just a bunch of guys just out there playing for the love of the game, it feels like.
So when I first started arena ball, that was when arena was still on ESPN.
Oh, yeah.
I still remember, Nick Codutti, and I was like Willard High School, and you're having fun doing your, but it made good money. But as time progressed and the arena kind of did what it did, you started losing. Well, the money wasn't that great, and I've got stories. There's a buddy of mine. His name was JJ Radering. He played quarterback at Wyoming. I think he's a color analyst for the Mountain West Conference, and he actually works for Peyton Manning right now in Denver for his little league programs. And we used to get together all the time and talk about, we're going to write a book about the Arena League, about the stories and you wouldn't believe the crap you went through. I remember vividly remember this. I come back to my apartment. I'm in Amarillo, Texas. We lived in the big Texan hotel.
Oh,
right off of Interstate 40, man. I'm telling you. So I will never forget this. We're sitting in this hotel, and I'm like, hey, whatever. The big Texan restaurant, here's the hotel, the saloon doors, go to the bathroom. And I had a roommate, a big Polynesian dude from Southern California. And I remember walking in to the door, and he's laying on the floor, buck naked. And he's just standing there like this, laying there. And that room had to have been 100 degrees. And I said, what are you doing? He goes, they turned the AC off because we didn't pay the bill. And I just looked at him and walked out. And I'm like, this is true story.
That's arena ball.
True story. I ate the big Texan 72-ounce steak twice.
Remember that? I know exactly where you're talking.
Twice in 2 weeks I ate that steak.
Yeah, because you could drive there going to Colorado.
Yeah.
But it's a huge, you're right, it's a huge building, and it's like a national landmark in Amarillo.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's when you're rolling from the Amarillo from the east, it's this big 72-ounce steak.
And you lived to tell about it.
I did. Well, I was 350 pounds back then.
That is impossible.
Twisted steel and sex appeal, baby.
350.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord. So now the high school game, unfortunately, seems like it's changing. Recruiting's changing. I mean, you're seeing it firsthand. It is just dismantling high school recruiting every single day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you what do you like about NIL and portal? What do you dislike?
I think when you go back to these colleges make so much money, but it's not all the colleges. I think the upper echelon of these colleges are making money, but the majority of them break even. Some of them lose money. But being able to pay those kids to be able to play the sport that is honestly branding this college, let's get real. People aren't going to Ohio State for the biology scores,
nope.
Right? And so I think it's a great idea in theory. I might be wrong, but I feel like they opened Pandora's box. You've opened this ability for this unlimited amount of money, this unlimited amount of funds to come in, and you don't there's no regulations, there's no stipulations, there's no true contracts. All of a sudden you've got street agents making 15%, and you've got, this booster who's making this, and all of a sudden he didn't have to pay this. And I think it's really putting a damper on the game when it comes to that. But I think as a whole, the game is becoming a lot more balanced and equal. Because, think about the playoff system you have. You've got teams now that it's not Alabama, Georgia every year. It's, you had Notre Dame and Boise, and now all of a sudden you've got, Ohio State's back in it. And again, look at the games you had. Clemson was back in, but they're not using NIL now, right? So they're, that's the team that you're seeing fall behind a little bit, but you're getting a more balanced game, I think. And so there's a lot of good and a lot of bad, and I feel like you have to regulate it. Now, I'm talking to a couple of college coach buddies of mine that were, the conversations were, as long as they keep regulations on how many times you can transfer it, how many times and how much money you can give, then I think it's going to be successful. The game's changing. And there's nothing you can do to stop it. When you go into a high school setting and you start understanding we're going to pay these high school kids, I think you're kind of flirting with the devil at that point in time because they're high school kids. And I think when these are 16, 17-year-old kids. Could you imagine having $100,000 in your pocket being 17 years old? Brother, I wouldn't be in this chair right now.
No way.
And so I can't imagine the pressure that's happening to these kids. The pressure from home and the pressure from hey, I need you to take this contract, or I need you to go to this school because, how much are you offering? Instead of, hey, what can that school give me as an opportunity to get my education? right? Because at the end of the day, you're going to have, what, 3% of those guys may truly play in the NFL? I don't know.
It's wild.
Woo.
And you know, I know this is coming up in the state of Texas. Like, will they pass NIL? You know, all these other bordering states have NIL. Will high school kids go there? But you're right. I mean, you got, and parents, and this is not you saying it, this is me saying it, parents have gotten incrementally crazier.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're bananas, straight bananas. Whether it be basketball, volleyball, girls soccer, it doesn't matter what sport.
Right.
Because it's just like they got to find a place for them to play, and the coach is always doing something wrong.
Right.
Dude, if I was a coach, how does a coach stop the noise just to the coach? I know y'all always say, hey, block out the noise to your players.
Yeah, right.
How do you block out the noise as a coach?
Yeah.
That's hard, dude.
You know, it's funny because it doesn't matter what you do, you're not going to be good enough. And, you know, I tell people there are two things that every man thinks he's better at than the next, and that's coaching football and barbecuing. You know what I'm saying? And so you just, as a coach, you have to know, like, people are just going to hate, and it is what it is. And you just happen to be in a pedestal in a public forum where people have the ability to voice their opinions. And so you kind of have to have thick skin. You know, I remember we played Atascocita, you know, in the week 3 of the playoffs, and it was what, I don't even remember the score. We lost by what, 5? And I, you know, I was getting roasted on the internet. I'm like, you know, it is what it is. What am I going to do? I can't get mad about it, you know? And so I think as a coach, you just kind of have to kind of just understand that it's going to happen. It is. And you have to say, do I value the opinion of people that I would not ask the advice of? Right? And so that's kind of my theory on it. And if I'm going to do the same to a kid, is block the noise out, I better be able to do it myself.
That's a great point. Deion Sanders said it the best, a reporter or something like that. He is like, what is it about me that thinks that I'm really going to basically care what you say down the road? But, all right, so you do, what kind of viral is this popcorn? You're rating popcorn.
Popcorn reviews.
Popcorn reviews. How did this start? And it's awesome. Why has nobody thought about this?
I know. So you know, every coach goes and scouts at these places. They go to these stadiums. They watch these games. You go to the NFL stuff, you know, and everyone gets popcorn.
Right.
And I remember sitting there, and it was probably 3 years ago, and someone was like, "Why don't we just review this stuff?" So how it started was we were sitting at a game. It was me and about 3 coaches. And we're eating popcorn, and I was like making fun of the guy. I started videoing. I was like, "Tell me what you think of the popcorn here." Yeah. And they started telling me. I was like, this is actually kind of funny.
Right.
And I'm like, so let's just, the idea again, find who you are, find your niche. And social media had been a niche for me. Like, it was a social media thing. I was like, you know what? We might be able to do something with this. I did not know that it would take off. There's one of those videos that's got like 800,000 views on it.
It's
people
crazy.
People come up to me all the time and they're like, you're the popcorn guy. I'm like, I heard, so I'm at the University of Minnesota.
Yeah.
I'm giving a clinic talk in Minneapolis. And I'm at the University of Minnesota. I'm at a hockey game at University of Minnesota with a buddy of mine who's the strength coach for them. And some kid walks up to me and goes, "You're the guy who does popcorn reviews in Texas." And
you're shocked.
Yeah, that's me. He's like, "Those are freaking awesome, man."
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, "You want to do one with me now?" And so like literally it happens. Like people are like, "Hey, let's do a popcorn review." Are you buying? Absolutely. You know, and so it just kind of happened, you know. And so Matt Stepp called me the other day. He's like, "You need to start doing cheesesteak reviews." Oh. And I was like, "Well, I mean, I'm from Philly. It could be a thing. This might be a thing."
Well, who has the best popcorn?
You know, okay, I'm gonna tell
all your all right. I mean, high school versus college versus pro popcorn is vastly different.
Oh yeah, it is 100%. So there's 2 places that had the best popcorn. The University of Minnesota hockey had the most amazing popcorn I ever had, right? And then Tomball.
That sounds like he's a homer for some.
No, here's why though.
Okay.
They have a guy that comes in and has his own little stand. And I can't vote for that. That's not fair, right? This guy's charges like $12 for about.
Right.
But you know what? It's $12 for the popcorn. It is. But so I just, you know, maybe Mr. Baker and I, the AD at Klein, may have to have a conversation about let's play our popcorn game a little bit.
Bring him on over. Bring this guy on over.
It's funny. So I did a popcorn review with my daughter at LCISD, right? Okay. It was on Fulshear. And my youngest is very opinionated. Yeah. She's 9, and she eats the popcorn, and she's like, "Ew, it's a 3." So our athletic director comes up to her after one of the games. He's like, "You can't eat any more popcorn here because you don't think it's good enough." Like this kind of thing now, right?
I wonder where she got that from.
I don't know.
That opinionated part.
I don't know what she's talking about.
All right. So what are they doing? Are they sporty? Are they just kind of following dad? What's their vibe?
Yeah. My oldest is she's an artsy fartsy girl.
Okay,
Right?
okay.
I love it, man. She's a chef. So the other night she's like, "Dad, I'm making dinner tonight. I'll see you when you get home because I'm driving from Klein." I came home to a homemade Tuscan chicken,
Dude.
homemade rice cauliflower with Parmesan, right? And I'm like, "Oh, and a strawberry field salad." My daughter's 12, dude. She tenderized it.
Sure.
And I'm like, you found your world.
Dude.
And so she lives that one. My youngest is the one that you'll see on the sidelines every game with her jersey of her favorite player, throwing a football up in the air beside me, telling me I'm making the wrong calls.
Yeah, Dad.
That's my daughter. That's my youngest.
That's the loud noise that you get. That's part of the noise.
That's part of it. She's meaner to me than most of the parents.
So tell me about it's funny how that works out. Tell me about Klein, what you've seen so far as kids in there, the makeup of the kids. What have you seen that you like so far?
Man, first of all, Klein High School is beautiful.
It's awesome.
I didn't realize it was so nice inside because then they redid it. Honestly, man, the kids are awesome. They remind me of Fulshear kids. They're very respectful. They work hard, and so it's just changed. It's not necessarily better. It's just new. It's changed, and they're taking to it, and that's what makes it really fun to me. Those kids just yes sir, no sir, and they kind of buy into the process. But there's a lot of Fulshear-esque ideas of good kids. It's a good mixture of kids, and I think for me, there's some athletes. Right, and that's let's get real. I don't care how much I can coach. Right, Jimmy's and Joe's win games. Let's all stuff aside, the better player is usually going to win.
Yeah,
and so you walk in, and you say, "Ooh, there's some kids here. We got a chance." And so, but it's fun. It's exciting. I think we can win some games. I think we're going to shock some people this year. I'm excited about it.
Coaches always say that kids are still kids. They still want to be coached.
Right.
You just got to figure out how to just communicate with them, and that I think is your strength. It might be X's and O's, but I think your strength is just having the ability to have kids run through a wall and get excited because you got some swag to you, and the game, your brand of football is fun, and winning is fun.
Winning is fun. Let's get real. I mean, at the end of the day, winning solves your problem.
Right.
But you're right. It's about the relationship of these kids and get them to understand, like, you can run something. Yeah, everyone can run an offense. It doesn't matter what you do as long as you believe in it and those kids believe in it. There's something my first college interview that got asked to me, and I will stick with me to the day I die. Bronco Mendenhall looks at me and goes, 3rd down and 1. You got to get a first down to win the game. What are you running? And I just looked at him. Well, what's the front? Doesn't matter. Well, who are we playing? Doesn't matter. I was like, well, he's like, that's the problem. When you know exactly what you're going to run in that situation, there's no questions to ask, and your kids know, and the stands knows, and the other team knows, that's when you have an identity, because that means people believe in it. And I said, man, and that's been on theory since I've started coaching for 15 years ago.
Dude, that's a great way to put it. Favorite place to play when you're in college, when you said, hey, we're going to go on the road and play in this game, this was the team that was circled because of the stadium and the vibe and on campus at that away game.
I don't know if I really have one. The pros, I can tell you. Green Bay. There's nothing like Lambeau Field, man. Nothing.
Yes.
It's just you walk in, like so you fly in, and Green Bay's got this tiny airport, right? And you drive in on the bus, and you drive off the ramp, and you just see nothing but neighborhoods. These old houses built in the 60s and 70s, and you're driving through, and you can see the stadium above the houses, and you drive through the neighborhood, and all of a sudden you get off, and there's a stadium, and you're like,
Isn't
what?
it weird?
It's beautiful. Yes, it really, and it's just this. It's been built up so much, right? And then the wait list it sells out every game. Like I remember it, and you're just like, this place is magnificent.
It's almost like, and people don't know what Leave It to Beaver is as a show. but it's like they dropped an NFL team
That's it.
on
In the
the
neighborhood.
set
That's it.
of Leave It to Beaver.
That's it.
I went to an LSU, played Wisconsin. They played it at Green Bay. And we went there, and LSU people, we're idiots. But we're like, dude, where in the hell are we?
Yes.
And it's so weird. You felt like you're in a college. That's the beauty of it. You feel like you're on a college campus in the pros. And
Yes.
that's hard to capture. You go to a Texans game, no shade on the Texans, or any pro team. It seems kind of sterile and manufactured, but you go to places like there, probably Philly,
Yep.
probably KC
KC's
is probably just like, it feels like a college game.
It does because, and those are communities. Like Kansas City's not really a big town.
Yeah.
And that stadium has been there forever. It's Arrowhead. It's the thing. I think Philly back in the day when I was a kid, it was Veterans Stadium and it was a thing. But now it's Lincoln Financial. It's a little more modern. It's not the same. Veterans Stadium had a jail cell in it. I mean, that's when you're in Philly, right? And so it's but those are the places that really give the vibe of, it's a hometown feel, and I think that's kind of what I liked about Klein. It's a community. It's right out your back. The neighborhoods are around the stadium. I just enjoy that.
Finally, and I do love to ask this question to coaches, is you probably can't name one because there's many.
Mm-hmm.
Who's been the biggest influence on your coaching career?
As a mentor, as a person who's took a chance on me, as a man who really taught me about how to deal with the other side of the game, Kevin Flanagan, Tomball ISD. Flanagan took a chance on a coach from Missouri and gave me my opportunity at Beaumont Westbrook High School, and it has been a friend and a father ever since. I almost call him like he's my stepdad, right? And so to me, like that's my biggest influence. My biggest influence X and O wise, Alex Gibbs. Wide zone, that was the guy, played for him. Sad he passed away, but that guy right there taught me a whole lot about football, and so you've got different people that do different things, and so, for me, Flanagan's always been my dad, right? He's my other dad, and so I appreciate everything he did for me, and I'm here because of him.
All right, watch out. People, Greater Houston, state of Texas, Klein is coming because of the new head man, Nick Codutti. Coach, we know it's going to be big there. And again, from a Klein Force person, just a Klein ISD guy, I'm really rooting for Klein to kind of get back on the map. Klein, Collins has had some success.
They've done great.
They've done great. But I just feel like it's a great community of people that want a winner.
It's the mothership.
It's the mothership of Klein. Let's go.
Hey, what do you call that? The Death Star?
The Death Star and your walkout song.
Amen, brother.
Woo! All right. This is Matt with VYPE. We'll see y'all at the games.